Hello and welcome to Great Britain in Focus. I'm Alex Cooper.
And I'm Claire Mary. On our recent travels to Scotland, the EWTN team stopped off at the historic island of Lindisfarne to reflect on the immense monastic traditions found in Anglo-Saxon Britain, but not in the way you may think.
No. So Dawn Burgoyne, after 50 years of writing calligraphy, takes us on a historic journey via Roman uncials, Anglo-Saxon vernacular minuscules, and the odd splash of iron gall ink. We discover the historic characters associated with this island, namely St Aidan, St Cuthbert, Alcuin, and indeed the Venerable Bede.
Let's head to Scotland.
Hi, my name is Dawn Burgoyne, dressed like this. I'm from the 11th century. Why am I here? I'm here to tell you a little bit about a timeline that all links to Lindisfarne. So, if I give you some dates, let's see if you can remember anybody in those times. 635, 651, 721, 735? How about 793 or 794? Well, don't feel bad if you don't know, because most people here don't know. If I gave you the names that are connected, St Aidan, now there's a familiar name, very important man in our history. St Cuthbert. St Cuthbert saw the soul of St Aidan going to heaven, and he joined the monastery in Melrose. He became Bishop of Lindisfarne. Melrose was a sister monastery of Lindisfarne, started by St Aidan. 793 is a very important year indeed, because that's when the Vikings raided Lindisfarne. And in 794, a man you've probably not heard of, Alcuin of York, he wrote to the King of Northumbria complaining about the Viking raid on Lindisfarne. And how do we know all of this? We know all of this because of the scribes of the time, the people like me who picked up a quill and had a pot of iron gall ink, and they wrote it down, because without the scribe we'd know absolutely nothing whatsoever about these important individuals who shaped our lives and still do to this day. What I'm going to do here today is a little bit of script recognition that go with these people that I've mentioned already. I'm just going to write 3 words, and I'm going to do the same words in all the scripts. And these scripts change through the centuries. So the first one came across with St Augustine. That wasn't Lindisfarne, I'm sorry, he came to Canterbury. So I'm going to put in the uncial alphabet. Now that's the uncial Roman alphabet, not the Greek one. And the uncial alphabet is a majuscule alphabet. I don't know if you know that word. Majuscule means capital letters. And the capital letters, see this got little twists on it? These alphabets are straight to the line. You don't change the angle, you just keep on going. And they've got little serifs, which give it a little kind of bit of charm. Okay, so I'm just writing the stray dogs, and I'm writing the stray dogs not because I know a lot about stray dogs, because I don't, but this captures the important letters. If you want to know what alphabets are, there are some letters that are dead giveaway. So this is the Roman uncials. Uncial is inch in Roman times, and that related to the size of the letters that they were carving in stone with chisels. And that's why we have a chisel end on our pen, because when they transfer that information, they just transferred the shape. So there we have the stray dogs. Uncial majuscules. Now the next one, this one is directly related to Lindisfarne, because the book that was written, the Lindisfarne Gospels, was written in 720 by Edfrith. This is called half uncial insular majuscules. If you could just look at that, a majuscule is very easily identified with a thick downstroke and a thin horizontal. Okay, so this now has its own serifs, and these are wedges. and they're straight to the line. And they have to squeak on paper. The quills were made for going on sliding over parchment and vellum. Now they've got slightly flattened T's, whereas if you're going, I'll just do it quietly here, if you're doing the one for the Lindisfarne Gospels, that's the T for them. See, that one's very flat, that one's very round. Now these alphabets did not follow one, you didn't just say, I'm going to change the alphabet on Monday. They took about 100 years and they slowly morphed. It's a very absorbing thing to be able to do. So now we're now going to move from Edfrith to the Venerable Bede. He was 735. He lived just down the road from Lindisfarne, and I'll be very surprised if he didn't know that there was a major work, a book going on, because he was a historian and a scholar. And this is called, well, it used to be called Anglo-Saxon Vernacular Minuscules. It's not called that now. It's called English Vernacular Minuscules. They're insular. Insular alphabets are from insularum, and that means of the islands. Ireland, Scotland and Northern England is the area that insular alphabets developed. If it doesn't say insular, it's from somewhere else. And we've got a few different choices for A. It depends on whether you're doing the English or you're doing the Irish. And now we get to 794. Alcuin of York. Have you heard of him? Very important. He wasn't a saint, he was a Benedictine monk. He was a friend with Charlemagne, the Emperor Charlemagne, who was semi-literate. He had this fabulous library, but he struggled with the books. And he took all the local scripts, there were many, Merovingian, Beneventan, Luxiel, and he created a script, and he called it Caroline or Carolingian. And that is because Charlemagne, his Latin name is Carolus. So he was complimenting the emperor on that one. This alphabet was taken by a man called Edward Johnson in 1911, and he tweaked it, and that's our modern alphabet. And there's a G we all recognise. So that is much more like our modern one. But that goes from St Aidan at Lindisfarne all the way down through to Alcuin of York complaining about the Viking raid in Lindisfarne. I was a bit rusty with Lindisfarne's script, so I sat and I wrote that, which is the Latin, was off one of the pages, I don't know which page it was. But because I did that, I was able to work out what the differences were to this one and the one that I normally do. There is a difference of nearly 100 years anyway. I am copying the Celtic Psalter. This is at the time, this is Scotland again, so there's still always a connection with Lindisfarne, with Iona and the monks of Scotland. This is in Latin and it's in Irish minuscules. I've only done 30 pages, I've got about another 170 to go. But we'll just see how it all... I've been a bit busy just recently. But there we are. I've been doing calligraphy for nearly 50 years and I was fairly competent. My husband gave me a fabulous copy of the Book of Kells. Have you seen the Book of Kells? Well, I've not seen the original one, but I've got one that's this big. It's actually enormous. It was one of the first facsimiles. When I opened the page and those words on the page, absolutely fabulous. They've got colour all over the place, the detail, the zoomorphic characters, but I didn't know there weren't zoomorphics then. It just blew me away. So I specialised, even then, about 40 years ago, with that particular book. I'm very hands-on. I think you only learn by trial, and you need to do it yourself. So I was asked to start a guild, and I trained a team. The more I learn, the more I realise I don't know. And I've got huge gaps and all the rest of it. I mean, some people say that, oh, well, you're an expert. Well, no, I'm not an expert. I've learned the hard way, and that's probably the best lesson. But I absolutely love learning, and I can't get enough of it, and I can keep on rereading. And you know, once you get into the religious books, oh my goodness me, they are so beautiful. They are just works of art just looking at them, even if you can't read Latin. It doesn't matter you can't read Latin. All I'm trying to do is show people really the effort that these monks, and not just monks, because once you got to the 12th and 13th century they had guilds, and they were laymen who would, and women, just don't forget the women, they also were doing work. And they all produced the most amazing work that we just don't do anymore. We're lazy now. I'm not lazy. I actually like working. I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic, but I get stressed if I do nothing. And I'm one of those people who are creative. I like to do things. If I'm not sewing or crocheting, I'm painting or I'm writing. I've written children's books and I've made rag dolls. Yeah, I'm just one of them. I was almost like a walking craft fair without anybody else. Never mind the calligraphy. And I do calligraphy my own way. This is one of my Lord's prayers. I used a crozier for the F. And I filled it with, I like to fill them with a stained glass window, preferably with a saint that I can do with, that relates to the person that I'm doing it for, and whatever. And I just absolutely, it's so absorbing. But it takes a lot out of you. You put a lot of yourself into this sort of work. Because it's very interpretive and it's very intuitive, and for me these things are really very spiritual moments for me. But I just like teaching it as well. I like for kids to know some of the history that they don't get taught anymore, and I was lucky.
In 1967, the UK got behind enshrining in law the protection of endangered species, whilst at the same time legalising abortion. Abortion Resistance is a new activist group for young people with the courage to change and inspire the next generation to ensure that abortion is no longer deemed as the norm.
It's the generation of YouTube, TikTok and Instagram that is sadly witnessing the subversive transformation of the family home into an abortion clinic. In an exclusive interview, you spoke to Eden McCourt and Alexandra DeFalco about how they started, what gets them out of bed in the morning, and the tactics they are drawing on to engage their young audience.
We have been lied to.
We have been told that we need death in order to be successful.
That we need death in order to follow our dreams.
That we need death in order to be free.
We are sick of these lies.
Heartsick at what we have lost because of them.
Heartbroken that so many babies have been sacrificed as an altar of false promises.
Abortion Resistance is a new generation of anti-abortion activism.
Our mission is to empower, inspire and encourage UK youth.
We want to empower individuals to cultivate a culture of life by providing them with constant support and giving them a like-minded community.
We want to inspire action through education on just how exploitative the abortion industry is.
We want to encourage change in our society by campaigning for better support for parents and by rallying in resistance against the regressive abortion industry.
We are against abortion because it enables a culture that discriminates against and dehumanizes the marginalized.
The abortion industry is rooted in misogyny and is designed to create a world where the female body, her fertility and life-giving abilities are rejected.
The abortion industry is rooted in racism and was designed to eliminate minority groups and promote a white-dominated world.
The abortion industry is rooted in eugenics and was designed to systematically target and exterminate people with disabilities, destroying their equal right to life.
The abortion industry offers you one choice. We, the resistance, offer you many.
Together we can end the lies and this culture of death.
Together, we can live vibrantly and live freely.
Together, the young can stand up for the youngest.
Because their fight is our fight.
And we fight today for a better tomorrow.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are. We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are Abortion Resistance.
I'm Claire Merry. I'm from Walsingham in the EWTN studios here, and I have a great privilege of welcoming two new guests to our programme. and two very inspiring and courageous young women who are about to take the pro-life movement by storm with their new initiative, Abortion Resistance. Welcome to EWTN, Alexandra De Falco and Eden McCourt. I'm particularly interested in this new movement because we're at a challenging time in the UK with a new social health and social care bill, which is at its latter stages of legislation and is really going to put something very different as an amendment on the Abortion 1967 Act, which essentially is proposing that the family home is going to be a legal abortion clinic. And I'm wondering where your work with abortion resistance fits into a new narrative that is unfolding and with a complete normalisation of abortion as it's never been before. Can you tell us a bit more about your initiative and where you're going to take this?
Absolutely. So we just launched last week, so we're really new, and the UK's youngest anti-abortion movement, both in members and just in the way that we started last weekend. And the real idea behind Abortion Resistance was aimed at young people and youth, not only getting young pro-life UK people involved in this organisation, in this movement, but also connecting with young pro-abortion people who are heavily influenced by media and by films, TV, music, everything out there is telling them from a very young age and conditioning them to be pro-abortion. So we decided it was vital, if we ever want to have some kind of change in the abortion laws and try to make it illegal and unthinkable, that we really needed to kind of nip it in the bud when they were young. And the way we would have to do that was to appeal to them through current culture and get on all these social media sites where they're learning the pro-abortion message. So that was really the kind of driving force behind why we needed an organisation like this, because it's not being done in the UK at the moment, and there's a real need for it.
Mm-hmm. And all of you that's come together to launch this, what do you have in common in terms of all the different backgrounds coming together?
I think the thing we've really got in common is that we are all young, we're all pro-life, and I think we all saw that there was a gap in the market, so to speak, as concerns pro-life organisations. There aren't any in the UK that cater specifically to youth. And so that's kind of, and we came together out of a desire to kind of fill that gap.
And with all the different pro-life groups that are within the movement in the UK, what is going to make you stand out so much, make you different and complement all the other pro-life groups?
So that was actually, it's interesting you say compliment. That was one of our big things when we started. We really wanted to be, as kind of Alexandra puts it all the time, kind of like a little sister organisation, to be able to kind of help them, like the helpful younger sibling, to other organisations who have been around for many years. Before we started, we got in touch with each pro-life organisation in the UK. And we basically just called upon them, asked for their wisdom and their advice, told them our plans and how we could support them in the future. And then reiterated again that we're trying to hit a different market again, so to speak, with our movement. So obviously, I've been part of the pro-life movement in the UK full-time for the past 3 years now, working with an organisation. But I've been volunteering for a lot longer than that. And something that I noticed was very much missing was that although these organisations, they all do such amazing work, they don't specifically engage with young people, and especially on social media. You have lots of campaigning groups, you have lots of care groups, post-abortive healing groups, all these amazing groups that are targeting abortion and the pro-abortion agenda from different aspects, but none that were, again, targeting the young people and trying to help them see that we really need to build a culture of life if we actually want to, progress and be a good society.
Alexandra, what do you see that young people are looking for around becoming a parent, becoming pregnant, and what's different about the message that you're going to give them going into the sort of pro-choice messaging that's out there? How are you going to hit them on social media?
I think they're just looking for support. I mean, I don't think it's they're looking for that affirmation that what they can, that they can actually be parents. I think there isn't really enough out there, certainly on social media, especially places like TikTok. There isn't enough saying, you know what, you're strong enough to do this. The majority of what's out there currently is this kind of propaganda that you can't do anything if you have a child. And so I think that, where abortion resistance will really kind of, help kind of promulgate this message is that we'll be doing it on these youthful platforms. We'll be doing it in a youthful way, in a way that's a little bit more relatable, and it's not so. We're trying to keep things as light and as relatable and as kind of non-stodgy as possible, and a really kind of human to human way. Just be like, you can do this, and we'll also be providing them with resources to do it. We'll be giving them support. One of our projects is this baby baskets project, where essentially we'll be gathering together materials to give to women who are kind of without support and want to have their baby, but feel that they can't. And so we'll be providing them with just kind of basic resources. And so I think it's not necessarily revolutionary. I think it's just being there. I mean, in a kind of a relaxed and relatable way.
And would you be in a place in time to come in terms of your activism? You'll be right alongside sort of pro-choice groups and having conversation with them?
Yeah,
definitely. I think, you have the kind of big ones like Sister Supporter. They're actually really vile, really awful group. And so a lot of their imagery, a lot of their messaging is very young, it's trendy, it's current. They're picking up all these buzzwords that you hear on the media. Every single kind of major event that happens, they'll pick up on it and kind of promote their message by twisting it into something that's pro-abortion. And so being able to be that kind of on it as well, on the same level as they are, but just twisting it to the pro-life message, when it's actually, honest and truthful and kind and loving, I think we'll definitely get through to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of activism, what activism means, what do you see as being successful in activism?
I mean, I'll start off, Alexandra, if there's anything you want to add. But being successful in activism is being able to, it's not necessarily always winning the debate. It's not necessarily always completely converting them to, the culture of life immediately. I think half the battle is getting to people to realize that we're actually not women-hating, misogynistic, like crazy people. They have that stereotype of kind of like old white men, all that kind of thing. Just showing them that we're just normal people. We're young. We're just like them. We're into the same things they are. We can do TikTok too. It's just showing that we're not all musty and stale. We do have a bit of life to us. And so even being able to kind of shift their perspective on the pro-lifer rather than on the issue, that's one baby step, and that's good enough for now. Eventually, obviously, that would hopefully lead to something else. But people also underestimate social media. You can really be active and promote your views on social media. And I've changed so many minds by doing it. But a lot of people seem to be quite scared because it is quite daunting.
Alexander,
I was just going to say, just through conversations. I mean, I think the most important thing is to just be in communication with people. And like Eden said, social media really is the best way to do it. That's where people are all the time. I think particularly post lockdown. Everyone's kind of rushed to the internet. Whilst in their homes, and so. I just think being open to have communication with people, and there are loads of people out there who are willing to have a chat, both pro-life and pro-choice, who just want either want you to explain yourself or they want affirmation, essentially. So Now
you have this incredible motto, power in courage. What does that mean?
So it's kind of taken from the words empower, inspire, and encourage, which are the three kind of main missions of abortion resistance. And the kind of mantra was, with the courage of our movement, we have the power to shift the nation's perspective on the issue of abortion. Because I do think a lot of this comes down to courage, and actually people having the courage to be publicly against abortion.
Very much so, because many people in this climate change debate are very willing to make a stand for climate, for animals, protection of animals. And in fact, most people wouldn't be aware that in the same year as the 1967 Abortion Act, we put an incredible law in place for extinct species of birds, that it would never happen and that their eggs would be protected. Yet the same year we were willing to enshrine the 1967 Abortion Act. Most people aren't aware of that sort of messaging, as a reality, what's in our law and how it's impacted our everyday decisions, as families and everything. And so I look at what you're doing and I think, okay, how is this going to unfold in terms of what young people are looking for, but how young people can also teach older generations, because there's generations that have had this for over 50 years and it has become normalised. How do you turn around what is normal to become abnormal? Because it is an abnormal situation we're talking about, yet people are so blinded by this.
The first thing that pops into my mind is something has to change. We've seen the legal abortion, legal abortion, I should say, in this country for over 50 years. And something needs to change. I think we need to kind of switch up methods, be a bit more dramatic, be a bit more out there, be more loud, be more bold, be more unapologetic. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to go around screaming and shouting from the rooftops. But the way that we approach needs to be, I wouldn't say more cutthroat because that sounds too cutthroat, but I'd say a bit more just kind of straight to the point, punchy. I found a lot with young people, and Alexandra, you must have found the same thing as well. They like to be outraged. Things that are outrageous capture their attention and it holds it. And so if we can make abortion, which it is already inherently outrageous, but show people that, not visually, but just through kind of powerful messaging, I do think that we can kind of see a shift in perspective.
So as we're coming to the end of this interview, I've got my countdown now. What's the take-home message you want for people? How can we support you to do what you feel is the right way forward for young people?
Well, we have a website and we're on every social media platform: Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, all of those things. Our website is www.abortionresistance.org.uk. On our website, we have lots of ways people can get involved. I think the most important for now, seeing as we only launched last week, is just spreading the word, getting people aware of this movement so that younger people can get involved through activism. And old people can also support that. But also we have a lot of need for financial donations. So if there's anyone out there who is able to help us set up a standing order, it's all on the website. If you have young children, young people, get them involved through the website.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being with us, and we're privileged for just a week on from your launch. It's wonderful. It's very inspiring to see what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this month's Great Britain in Focus with me, Claire Mary, and
me, Alex Cooper. EWTN-GB is entirely self-funding. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button across all our channels, and even better, smash that donate button to keep our studio lights on.
Until next time, goodbye and God bless.